Lavina Collins from the embassy, who's going to talk on behalf of the Irish ambassador. She's going to tell you something very interesting about Mr. James Joyce today. And then we're going to read for about an hour and a half. But a very short video to Lavina and when we start reading. I'm trying to stretch a bit of time here because Irish 6 o'clock and Dutch 6 o'clock, there's only 5 to 10 minutes in between, and I still have a young lady waiting at the front door. So another person who I'd really like to thank is Mary Gavin, who is the unofficial Irish ambassador. Mary has managed to find these 8 willing victims to join me in reading James Joyce, and every year she always comes with new people, but I'm very, very honoured because it's nice, 2 members sitting here together. These started way back, I think 40 years ago, with Mr. Root Hiskins, who actually is the father of James Joyce here in The Hague. 40 years ago he started, oh yes you are sir, yes you are. Root, he is probably the greatest Joycean academic I know in person. I know of some from books, but in person. Every time we sit down and we start going through the material, there's always a layer which Root knows and I've missed. Unfortunately, there are 2 members who started way back 40 years ago and will come to join us again to read parts of the book. Thankfully, we've got some new members and some old faces too. Root, thank you very much for starting this wonderful tradition. And last but not least, I would like to invite Lavina Collins to come and join us.
There you
are, there you are.
I can't do this without wearing my hat.
Please.
The Tourism Ireland kind of provided for me. First of all, listen, thank you very much everyone for inviting me here this evening. Unfortunately, the ambassador couldn't be here. He's in Amsterdam with one of our ministers doing trade deals, I hope. But what I really want to say at the outset is thank you so much to the 4 people from the Irish Club who came to our 2 Joyce lunches yesterday and today and did marvellous performances for us. So I kind of have an idea of what we're going to hear tonight. So I can assure you, if you enjoyed it as much as I did today and yesterday, you're in for a treat. Now, there's a letter that Nora, James Joyce's wife, wrote home to her son in Ireland when they were here on holidays. It's fabulous to think that James Joyce and his wife and his daughter actually did come to The Hague and spend quite a few days here in 1927. Ruth, as you've mentioned, a fantastic Joycean scholar, has lots of material belonging to Joyce, and he actually has some of the letters that Joyce wrote home to Ireland to many friends and family during their time here. And he actually put together, very cleverly, a letter from Nora, which I think is fabulous. It's dated The Hague, Friday, 27th May 1927, and if you don't mind, I'd just like to read it to you because I think it's a wonderful piece of work. Okay, so it starts off, Dear Giorgio, that was her son. By the way, I should say there's no punctuation marks here, so I'm kind of going from one line into the other, if that's okay. Dear Giorgio, your father Jim is also writing a letter in our hotel room in The Hague. And so am I, because I have nothing else to do, and I miss you and your sister Lucia as well, fortunately. She sent her love. And we've been here since Saturday, so almost a week. And we have a room in a decent hotel called Grand Hotel Restaurant Victoria, The Hague, in the middle of a street full of shops near a beautiful arcade. I'm sure you all know what the arcade is. So the arcade has elegant shops and tea rooms. It is dear here, which means expensive. It is dear here, but the people are very civil, and polite, and not at all miserly, says your father, who is thinking only about his new book, which he is writing in his own new language, which contains all the languages of the world, including growling Dutch with crazy words like Schopper, complete wrong pronunciation, which means showborough, but it's actually just a theatre for operas and plays. Just like his last book, it would be just as incomprehensible and unsellable, I fear. But sure, let your father have his way. There is nothing we can do anyhow. It is not so warm here, about 8 degrees Celsius, very cold for the time of year, and so we don't take the tram to the beach, a Scheveningen Sea so often. It's a lovely seaside resort with a wooden pier your father calls the Strand Wild, and endless, and it is, I love the sea, and that is of course because I grew up in Galway, which is on the ocean, and is also a seaside resort. I think that if you were born by the sea, you always have a connection with the sea. So funny to think that it is the same water here as at home back then. Sorry, at home. So back then, Wednesday, Lucia and I were drinking tea as your father took a walk along the beach because he wanted to see if he could follow the coastline with his bad eye when a dreadful dog came running up to him and attacked him 4 times. You know how scared your father is of dogs. The ordeal lasted at least a quarter of an hour, and to make matters worse, his spectacles received a wallop that caused one of the lenses to fall in the sand, and after a long search he found the lens again, but your father was out of sorts for the rest of the day. Yesterday we went to look at paintings at a small yet beautiful museum by a pond that they call the Murishus. There's a very big painting there of an old man with a cow. I think it's actually a bull if anyone does go to the museum. Anyway, by a tree and meadow, very lovely, but your father thought another painting the most beautiful, and that is the view of Delft. Your father says it is the most beautiful painting in the world because you can stare at it for hours and still see new things. Lucia thinks it's boring, and she cares more for another painting by Johann Vermeer, and that is of a lovely girl with a pearl. We will send you a postcard of it. She looks a bit like Lucia. So Giorgio, now we're going to eat in the hotel, and it costs 1 guilder and 50 cents. Not cheap. Let us hope this evening your father does not drink too much, as always. And greetings from La Havre from your mother Nora. The end. Thank you.
Mulligan.
Came from
Mulligan.
Came from
the stairhead.
The stairhead.
From the stair.
Mulligan.
Plum, but Mulligan.
Bearing.
Ball.
Very good.
A bowl.
Bowl of lava.
Mulligan.
On which
On which
A mirror.
of lava on which
on which a mirror
lay cross.
lay cross.
Play
Steak.
Plum, steak.
Mulligan.
Came from the cave. Plum, came from the stairhead. From the Mulligan.
A bowl of ladder.